This video is not intended for anyone 13 or younger. Hello viewers and welcome back to my long overdue episode of My Hero Academia Reactions, and I'm your humble host Josh24214, and today we're going to be tackling My Hero Academia chapter 287. So yeah, I know this episode came out late. This week has been completely hectic. And besides, we got two chapters technically for this week with 287 and 288. And a lot of information is given to us in these two, mostly in the first chapter for 287, and setting up things for 288. So right now, we are on 287, and a quick recap of the last chapter on 286 for those who haven't caught back. That on the end of the previous chapter, Shigaraki was able to touch Midoriya in the face, and now Midoriya and Shigaraki and All For One are in the spectral realm, but before Shigaraki could take Midoriya's quirk away, they are rudely interrupted by the spirit of Nana Shimura, the previous 7th user, coming back to help Midoriya and claiming that we will not allow it and let us help you. So yeah, so the spirits of the All For One users are back, and they're about to kick some ass. So let's find out how glorious this battle will be between the dead users and against All For One, and what things we will learn in this chapter. So let's dive into the chapter, and remember to wash your hands. Let's get into the chapter. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It only takes 2 simple clicks. Click, click. Enjoy the episode. And to start off this chapter, we have our usual credits with My Hero Academia by Kohei Horikoshi, translation by Cabal Cook, and lettering by John Hurt, as always with those 3 names in every chapter. We come back to where we last stopped, with Nana Shimura coming in to help Midoriya while Midoriya is still laying on the ground, with Nana starts off the chapter saying, "To think, not even my death could keep us from meeting again. All For One." And she's talking to All For One after her death years ago. And now she's come back for revenge. Wants a little piece of payback for her, dying. As we see, we cut away, and then we get like a giant whoosh showing of, yeah, there's an evil aura of Shigaraki and All For One. And Midoriya's just realizing who the woman who just came to save him, as he thinks to himself, that's Nana Shimura. And Midoriya looks back with the Shigaraki and All For One Cabal hybrid, with Midoriya continuing saying, "We're inside One For All. But what's happening with Kachan and everyone else?" And we get our title chapter with chapter number 287, which is entitled Mistake. Mistake for what? So let's continue with, as we quickly cut back to the other side, with All For One starting the conversation with Nana saying, "Now look here, Tomura. Wow, a dead person. Who happens to be your grandmother? The pathetic, incompetent Nana Shimura stands before us." And yeah, okay, that's kind of a bit of out of character for All For One. This is like something the Batman Who Laughs would say when saying about killing people. So about that little nerdgasm, we have on the next page we have All For One continuing saying, "We're in the middle of a transplant." Okay, what? And All For One continues while Midoriya looks on defenseless, with All For One continuing with a huge monologue So here we go with all for one saying, there are stories of people whose personalities and tastes change after an organ transplant. Oh, good. We're going into the. That's only a theory. And what All for One is trying to state, he's All for One is talking about the genetic memory theory, devised by a professor who thought that memories could be in our genetic code, and there were some cases that, yeah, that it is possible for something like this to happen, but I think it's like super rare. Like this one little girl had, I don't know, like one of the organs from a dead person who died of a murder, and that little girl that night saw the murder go down, and that's what from a true story, I supposedly true, and usually used in Hollywood, most famously with Assassin's Creed, with the theory of genetic memory, that memories could be in our genes and we could learn from our ancestors and whatever. And I don't hate Assassin's Creed. I like the idea of knowing our descendants from our genetic memory. Like, the technology for that is a bit iffy, but. And what All for One is saying that I'll let All for One explain, saying, though it sounds rather occult, yeah, because we're not it's only a theory, we don't know if genetic memory theory is actually true or not. But All for One continues saying, there's plenty of supporting evidence. As All for One continues again, as for me, I'm prone to the oddest dreams from time to time. In my dreams, those whose quirks I've stolen show up in a hurl abuse my way. These episodes often leave me discouraged, and I really capable of feeling guilt for my sins like some utterly ordinary person? He's kind of power mad, so he's kind of just gonna ignore the thought, with Oliver One continuing. But here's the strangest part. Once I got rid of a quirk, its former owner stops haunting my sleep. Bizarre, no? Especially since I'm certainty the type to hold a grudge myself. But my work with our good doctor realized the root cause, and he's talking about the mad doctor who's always been helping him. And on the next page we have All for One continuing while Nana's looking at him, saying, just as organs and cells house memories of sorts, every quirk factor contains a consciousness, the individuality of its wielder, if you will. As someone with the power to meddle with quirks themselves, I find myself in a unique position of being able to interact with those consciousness. So yeah, so what's All for One's implying that the genetic memory theory is also implied to quirks, and basically that All for One does see the former users when he takes the quirks away, and he's going to be haunted by them. And basically, All for One is just saying that genetic memory is actually the genetic memory theory is the reason why Midoriya is seeing Nana Shimura, Banjo, the little brother, all the people who died from carrying all One for All are just side products of the genetic memory theory. And Shigaraki's just being Shigaraki, realizing what's going on here with Nana Shimura. We cut back to a flashback of Gran Torino, with Gran Torino saying, now quit trampling all over Shimura's memory. And then Shigaraki realizes, saying, Nana Shimura? As we get a flashback to Shigaraki's, with the young Shigaraki with the photograph of Nana, with Shigaraki saying, Grandma? And now Shigaraki's realizing, saying, why were you? As we get a remembering from that Nana's hand was always grabbing the back of the head before joining with All For One the first time. And then on the next page we have All For One continuing saying, "My blood kin too, my little brother who had the power to grant his own quirk to another could also meddle with quirks directly. When his original quirk mixed with the power stalking one, the resulting power became a sleeper car to carry consciousness forward to the future generations." So all the quirks from passing the quirk down, they're all just basically having genetic memories, consciousness carried over from the quirk one generation to the next, with all the one starting to finish saying, "Anyhow, wouldn't you like to say hello?" And Nana Shimura realizes what's going on here, saying, "So you're Kotaro's son." And Shigaraki interrupts, saying, no matter how we got here, Grandma, you can rest assured that I also hate you with all my heart." As Nana's just kind of upset from realizing that her grandson has become pure nasty evil. And on the next page we have Shigaraki going for the attack while Nana tries to hold her guard from the corruption wave. And Midoriya realizing in his head saying, "This all for all's world, it's eroding," and being corrupted by Shigaraki.
Suck! 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 Hey, phrase it!
While All For One continues saying, "Good, Tomura, your hatred is making its mark. The rule is that only the will of One For All's wielder can affect it, but your rage is starting to eat away at that very rule. So, oh god, so Shigaraki can steal All For One, so that's not good." And All For One realized something weird, that there's also Shigaraki's decaying starting to crawl up to All For One's head. And All For One just interrupts saying, "Whoops, I nearly forgot you hate me too." And that's probably because he just realized that Nana's his grandmother. And yeah, Shigaraki's going to be a little pissed that you kinda killed his grandmother. And now basically the symbiosis between Shigaraki and All For One has been a little demanding, a little bit, with All For One continuing saying, "All the better, how fitting for the symbol of terror." But we cut back to Midoriya with the corruption wave. As it gets close to Midoriya, it just stops, frozen stiff, and All For One continuing while Nana's just smirking, and Tomura shocked by this, saying, with All For One saying, "But still not enough, it seems." As on the next page we see that the little brother of All For One finally joins in, as his brother starts talking, saying, that's All For One saying, "Since my brother is as obstinate as I am." And All For One's brother interrupts, saying, So is he the next in line, brother?" As All For One continues saying, "It's such a shame that I could never make you mine." As the brother interrupts, saying, "We will never go to you. We have chosen to remain within this boy." As Midoriya's just shocked on what's going on here. And the corruption is starting to suck back into where it came from. And Shigaraki in his head saying, "Getting beaten back. That's the one power that never behaved how Master wanted." As Shigaraki states to himself, saying, "What the hell?" As on the next page we see All For One just saying, screw this, I want more, I want that power more. As All For One continuing saying, show some power, Tomura. As Shigaraki lifts his hand and try again, saying, combine your strength with my own, and we can steal them away. They are but a couple of departed people who fell to me. As All For One continuing, as Nana and the brother still tries to hold back All For One, with All For One continuing, brother, you claim you've chosen this. No point in bluffing when I know the truth. I've seen it all through Tomura's eyes. As we cut away to Midoriya looking, with All For One saying, this incredible power has been wasted on one who could protect neither friend nor teacher. They were forced to defend him. In fact, what's more, like his master, he's given himself over to blind rage. He finds himself immobilized, squirming about helplessly, watching on. And Tomura, as All For One continues saying, cutting back to All For One, conferring this power to someone so worthless was a mistake, and hence the title. And on the next page, we have the brothers interrupting, saying, no, it wasn't. And All For One still smiling, while the brother continues his counter-argument to Midoriya, saying, someone who exploits people like you could never understand what drives this boy to shed blood. As Midoriya starts getting back up, with the brother continuing saying, he rages for the sake of others. For them, he does his best until he can do no more. And on the next page, we get 1.5 page spread of Midoriya just leaping towards All For One and Shigaraki, while the brother continuing saying, this young man possessed by a drive to save others that eclipse all common understanding. Our power is his, and we shall follow him. While Midoriya is just running towards him, saying, just raging towards Shigaraki. But on the next page, we get a huge explosion of light, and now Shigaraki and Midoriya are split apart, and Midoriya escaped Shigaraki's grasp, while Midoriya in his head saying, while going towards Midoriya, saying in his head, did he steal it? No, he couldn't. But, and we get cut away to Shigaraki, who's starting to regenerate his skin back and feeling much better with all the damage being undone after Endeavor barbecued him like a lit candle, with Midoriya saying, All For One saying, Tomura. And on the next page, All For One continuing saying, my quirk has not fully settled into your body, so you can summon the power to steal his. Don't black out. Your body must achieve completion, retreat, take stock, and live to fight on. And we cut away back to Midoriya, with Midoriya in his head saying, Shigaraki, please don't start moving again. And that's it for Midoriya. We cut away to where Giga has going through another rampage of the city, as we cut to Skeptic and Dabi, with Dabi starting a conversation saying, Shigaraki's fighting Endeavor? Nice. Let's prep. And Skeptic is kind of questioning this weirdness, saying, prep for what? As we cut to the next page with Dabi continuing saying, to tear down this fake hero society, of course. As Mr. Compress confides in Toga, and we cut away to Mr. Compress and Toga, with Mr. Compress saying, are you fine with this, Toga? and we get a little bit of text saying, "You're awfully close to the edge." And Toga just like, as Mr. Compress continues saying, "I know you've been scanning for them." And Mr. Compress continues saying, "Those UA scamps you love so much. They are heroes too." And Toga interrupts saying, "Where?" and asking a very interesting question saying, "Where do they draw the line?" As Toga's just looking on at the carnage of Giga saying, "If heroes are supposed to save people, then was Jin not considered a person?" And Jin is twice who died. With Toga continuing saying, "Will they kill me too?" As we cut to the last page of the chapter, we see Toga continuing saying, "That's what I want to ask Midoriya and Ochako." Depending on their answer, as we cut to the last panel, we cut away to Uraka with Toga finishing off the chapter saying, "I'll be fine." And the chapter ends, and the next chapter would hit on October 16th, which was a Monday that just occurred 4 days ago from the recording of this. This is on the 20th, so it's been out for 4 days now, and sorry for the long delay. And that was chapter 287, and we got like a lot of things explained about the science of, basically the science of why Midoriya can see the ghosts of All for One and One for All. And basically it's just the genetic memory theory just applied to quirks as well. And we're done with the stuff with Midoriya, and on the next chapter we would continue where Toga would continue, and I will see you there when we eventually read chapter 288. So until then, it will come out very soon, and I will see you in chapter 288. This chapter was very good, and I think we're not going to be seeing Midoriya for quite some time. Like I think a couple of more chapters, and I think we're going to be sticking with the stuff with Ochako, Uraka, and Toga, so we will have to wait. So until then, I will see you at chapter 288. So until then, have a good day, everybody, and we can all know where this is going to go with Uraka and Toga, right?
Gentlemen, I'm afraid we are at a standstill. There's only one fair way to settle this argument. Catfight!
Yeah, hopefully we get a huge cat fight. So until then, have a good day, everybody, and I'll see you on chapter 288. So until then, have a good day, everybody, and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.